And big story coming in from Karnataka, yet another controversy set to take center stage in the state over curriculum of students. Expert panel on the implementation of the National Education Policy has submitted its report to the Department of Research and Training in Karnataka. Now, that panel reporting to the state government has suggested that textbooks should include topics on quote-unquote Hindu genocide. That's what the panel has suggested. Neha joining us for more on this from Bengaluru. Neha, so this textbook controversy resurfacing in Karnataka.
Well, that's absolutely right, Rohit. What we first saw happened to be, the textbook controversy as far as revisions in textbooks were concerned. It seems like a new controversy has now erupted over here as far as the recommendations submitted by the panel are concerned. It's important over here to mention that a few of the recommendations over here, have gone on to call the Pythagoras theorem and even the Newton's apple theory as fake news. That apart of also, of course, like you rightly mentioned earlier, that, the curriculum too over here has called for teaching of Hindu genocide. I'm going to take these questions now straight to the chairman of the NEP task force for Karnataka, Mr. Madan Gopal. Thank you for speaking to Mirror now, sir. I'd like to start by asking you, first of all, we're seeing the first thing, sir, that I'd like to ask you is that the committee or the panel over here, has gone on to entirely rubbish the Pythagoras theorem and even, Newton's apple theory. So from where is this coming from? So where are we?
To correct you, they have not rubbished either Newton's theory or Pythagoras theory. But exactly, there are 26 position papers. Right. Each of the paper headed by one eminent educationist of decades of experience. Members also have decades of experience. So the particular committee on knowledge of India is headed by IIT very eminent professor, Professor Ramanathan. So the committee debated certain issues, saying that particularly the Pythagoras theorem or even Newton's theories are origins in the Vedic knowledge. They have not rubbished it. So because this is not just Professor Ramanathan's theory, but Pythagoras theorem was discussed in Oxford, Harvard, and many of the international universities, and there are a lot of dispute about Pythagoras theorem. Nobody questioning about the fundamentals of the theorem, but origins of the theorem. Similarly, Newton's some of theories in Manchester University came out with a very specific details that certain scriptures from ancient times were copied by Newton. You may agree or disagree, this is a different point. I'm saying that whole approach of the NEP 2020 is Indic centered. Okay. Similarly, because obviously, yes, we learnt a lot. Western knowledge, Western sciences have a lot of benefit to the human society. Similarly, we should have roots. Okay. Unfortunately, there are some people, they have only criticized without reading anything. Just seeing a cover page, they want to review the book. This is the whole tragedy of times.
Okay. Now, another thing, sir, is that, this panel that has submitted the report also talks about the inclusion of, Hindu genocide and, more importantly also the Mopla riots and even the Maharashtra Brahmins, sir. The reasoning for this, sir, now, because, this is again being termed as nothing but a mere political undertone or a move that's, gone on to sort of...
There is nothing political in that. There are historical facts. Problem is that in the earlier historical books, history books written by R.C. Majumdar, R.N. Sharma, Nilkant Shastri mentioned these things. But unfortunately, late 40s, some of the interpretations have come in such a way that nothing happened in India. So this whole idea of the why talking about Hindu genocide is that people should know about it. Because more you are trying to push under the carpet that burning anger, whatever the tensions will be there. Now what we are seeing today because of that. People should know that Hindu genocide took place. Not that to provoke any other community, not that provoke communal strife, etc. No. It has to be seen in a very positive manner. Hindu genocide is a fact of the matter. What is wrong in mentioning that? That is what knowledge in India, that committee said that children should be aware of what's happened so that we'll have more balanced in life. We will not be provoked by unnecessary things. This is the whole idea of the approach in the knowledge of India paper.
Okay, and another question, sir, on similar lines again, we're seeing that there is an allegation now that this entire textbook issue itself is being polarized because the Hindu Bharatiya Dharma is not, reflected properly, unlike Christianity or, unlike Islam. This is what the recommendation that's been submitted by the panel is.
No, panel only referred that when you are talking about the Christianity or Islam, without denigrating any religion, we have to talk about Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma, every religion got certain fundamental religious principles. Tolerance, kindness, compassion, understanding, mutual respect. So why only omit Sanatana Dharma? Sanatana Dharma, when you quote of Vasdvaika Kutumbakam, we say Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. They are the wonderful Upanishadic sayings. Why not we children know about it? Because by keeping that away, you are creating a polarization actually. What is mentioned in the Knowledge of India paper is to remove the polarization, bring a togetherness. That's the whole idea of the position paper.
Okay, and lastly, sir, many prominent educationists today across Karnataka, have slammed these revisions or have slammed these recommendations rather and said that, this is again very similar on the lines of the textbook controversy that we saw recently. So they have again said that, it is an attempt to sort of polarize the entire issue and, brainwash the minds of children today.
Actually, I asked one of the critics whether he has read this paper on Knowledge of India. He said he has not read it. I said, without reading, now unfortunately the present tragedy is that some of the so-called intellectuals claiming to be liberals, they just jump to conclusion with their own hidden agenda. You see, if you don't have agenda, there is nothing political in that. You see, when you are talking about Smriti, they mention about Manusmriti in that. We are part of Dharma Shastra. There are hundreds of Dharma Shastras. There are many Smritis, Manusmriti, Brihaspati Smriti. We have a Kartikeya Smriti. They are all Parasara Smriti. Smriti is nothing but a describing certain code of conduct for everyone. So some people want to quote only something which is irrelevant, something which is fundamentally, which is negative, then highlight that. This attitude, I think, is not good for any educationist. Those who calling themselves educationists, is nice, you call yourself educationist, but you doesn't want to study, you doesn't have open mind, you are supposed to have open mind. Allow the debate to take place. Nobody asking you to agree or disagree. Let there be debate on these issues. Let people, entire idea is that let it be child-centered. Okay. Education need to be child-centered and rooted in the Indic knowledge, yes, obviously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, that was the chairman of the NEP task force in Karnataka going on to, sort of defend and clarify on these recommendations that have been submitted, even as we have been seeing criticism now coming in from certain sections or from certain corners in the state.